If you're paying for your latte and your business expenses from the same debit card, you're not a consultant, you're a liability, and your accountant hates you. I'm Ayers, and this is Money Changes Everything. How to make the transition from employee to consultant. Welcome to the third edition of Jobtober. The tiny little pumpkins are crowding the grocery store windows, and for many of us, it is open enrollment season. In this 5-part series, we'll explore how to make your job work for you and how to improve your life at work. Well, at least the financial part of it. We've already covered employee benefits and layoffs, so let's look at how to transition away from employment altogether. Key takeaways. Cash is king when it comes to building out a runway for you to transition from a full-time, regularly paid employee to a consultant with money coming in sporadically. Make sure you take the time, without spending too much money, to build up the systems you no longer have now that you're self-employed. Learn to state your price without apologizing or feeling guilty. Don't want to go back to an office full-time? Starting your own business can be the next step to financial freedom. In my last essay, we talked about layoffs, the cardboard box walk of shame, the HR will be in touch, and the silence of your laptop because you have been kicked out of your company's Slack workspace. For some people, the next step is clear. Update the resume, start sending applications into the void. For others, it's the last straw. Maybe you're done with having a boss altogether. Maybe you want to control your own income for once. Maybe you just want to have to stop asking permission to go to the dentist. Whatever your reason, here's how to start fresh as a consultant and be your own boss. Step 1, know what kind of business you're building. Self-employment is not a one-size-fits-all situation. It comes in many sizes and shapes and stages. The temporary bridge. This is your cash flow plan until you land another full-time job. You take on a bit of work, maybe do some things that aren't your favorite, but that pays the bills. You focus on short-term contracts and smaller projects because you're really just trying to land another job. The side hustle. Who doesn't love extra cash? For many folks, a side hustle is essential. You keep your W-2 job and build something on the side. Maybe you do it because you love it, or maybe you do it because it's easy money. That gives you purpose, some extra income, and it is a hedge against layoffs. The leap. You're all in. You're starting something that will finance your lifestyle, hopefully, and you'll need clients, contracts, systems, and actual financial runway, and probably a good lawyer and accountant. Know where you stand and which of these paths is for you before you file an LLC and start handing out business cards. Step 2, build your runway. Whatever kind of self-employed business you're building, cash will be king. When you work at a company, a paycheck drops into your bank account automatically, usually every 2 weeks. And when you're a consultant or a business owner, that will likely not be the case. You may get paid in a lump sum or monthly or spend all of your time chasing invoices. Therefore, you need to have cash reserves. Different people have different levels of risk, but to have a good business, you need to be able to make good decisions. And good decisions are difficult to make when you can't pay your rent or feed your family. So at a minimum, I recommend having at least 6 months of living expenses in your bank account as runway to help you bridge the gap between your last regularly recurring paycheck, say that 5 times fast, and when the money from your new business starts to flow in steadily. Actually, it would be my preference that you have a whole year of business expenses saved in the bank to really give your business the space it needs to grow. Otherwise, you're setting yourself up for a rocky road. Step 3, figure out if you really need an LLC. Here we go again. I wrote about this extensively earlier this year. An LLC, a limited liability company, helps you separate you from your business. That means if something goes wrong, like someone sues you, the business takes the hit, not your personal bank account. It's about liability protection. It's not a tax silver bullet. An LLC does not change your tax status by default. You'll still be taxed the same way you are now, usually as a sole proprietor, unless you elect otherwise with the IRS. Regardless of whether or not you decide to set up an LLC for your business, you should most definitely open a separate bank account for it. If you're paying for your latte and your business expenses from the same debit card as all your personal shit, you're not a consultant. You're a liability, and your accountant hates you. Step 4, don't spend money to make money. Listen up, this one's important. If you're testing the waters for a new self-employed business, keep it cheap. Do not invest in custom wallpaper for your temporary office or hire a branding agency before you have any revenue. That's not business building, that's procrastination. Most businesses need one thing at the start: a simple website with your name, your services, and a way to contact you. That's $20 a month in web hosting fees. And that's pretty much all you should be spending money on when you first launch your business. You can splurge later when you hit a milestone, like 5K in recurring monthly revenue. That's when investing in gorgeous graphic design and slick logos makes sense. Until then, every dollar wasted on false accomplishment is a dollar missing from your runway. Funny story, when we launched our own firm, we were so afraid of spending money that our first few employees shared the same email address, which was just hi@Brooklyn.fi, because we didn't want to spend the extra $6 a month. That created some weird issues later, but that's the kind of mindset you need to increase your runway and give yourself enough time to succeed. Step 5, build your systems, because you are now all of the departments. You just fired your boss. Congrats. You also just fired payroll, HR, IT, and legal. Guess who's replacing them? It's you. Now you have to pay your taxes, which means setting aside 25 to 50% of everything you earn and probably making quarterly estimated tax payments. You also need accounting software, QuickBooks, Wave, or at least a color-coded G Sheet, because otherwise tax season will kill you. A verbal agreement is just a recipe for disaster, so keep a few simple contract templates on hand to protect yourself. And then there's insurance, health, liability if your field requires it, maybe disability too. All this is unsexy and expensive, but it costs less than running into catastrophe down the line. So don't slack on getting your system set up properly. Step 6, pricing without apologizing. Sharing your pricing without apologizing is its own rite of passage. The corporate world trained you to undervalue yourself, and freelancing is where you unlearn this. Start with industry benchmarks, then add in the benefits you no longer get, like health insurance, retirement accounts, and paid time off. Translate your old salary into an hourly consulting rate, then double it, because you will not be billing 40 hours a week. Rather, you will also be marketing, invoicing, and fighting with your internet provider over how slow your Wi-Fi is. If the rate you land on makes you nervous, that's a good sign. It means the number is probably right. For a longer meditation on how to price, go back and read my post, "You Are Not a Vending Machine, How to Price Your Services." Step 7, look for clients. Clients do not fall from the sky. If you think hanging out a shingle means strangers will magically appear, you've been drinking too much LinkedIn Kool-Aid. Your first clients will come from your network, which means telling people what you're doing, reaching out directly, and updating your profile. It will feel uncomfortable. It will feel cringe. Trust me, I feel like I am 100% cringe all the time, every day. It will feel like bragging, but rest assured it isn't. You're not asking for favors, you're offering your expertise in exchange for money. That's just business. Here's a starter budget kit for a consultant, aka what you actually need. Domain and website hosting, $20 a month. You can use Squarespace, Wix, WordPress, any of those will work. A professional email address, I believe, is about $8 a month through Google Workspace. Accounting software, about $30 a month, unless you go through an accountant, then it's a little cheaper. I think you'll have to learn QuickBooks. Unfortunately, that's what most accountants use. So when you eventually have a lot of revenue and you need to switch to an accountant, they're going to charge you a bunch of money if you're not already on QuickBooks. So my best advice is learn it now if you can. Logo, branding. I'm sorry to say this, but Canva is your friend. Your logo does not need to be beautiful out of the gate. Canva costs about $15 a month. You'll need a business bank account. If you don't have enough cash to keep in there, they'll probably charge you $15 a month. Many of them are free if you keep a minimum balance in there. That's it. You do not need an espresso machine, a ring light, or a plush rug for your office. Splurge later, when the business is paying for it, not you. Not everyone should be a consultant. It's lonely, it's messy, and sometimes it's just a more complicated way of being unemployed. But it can also be the most financially freeing decision you ever make. Layoffs prove one thing: companies are not loyal to you. Consulting proves another: you don't need them to be. So whether this is your bridge, your side hustle, or your full-time leap, remember, your employer was never your safety net. You were there all along. And here's my parting shot. Please don't spend any money before you have revenue coming in.